The day my son threw me out on the streets to die, I was 3 days away from my heart surgery and had nowhere to go. Mom, I'm 31 years old. I've carried your emotional baggage long enough. Time to be an adult and solve your own problems. Those were David's exact words as I stood on his doorstep with 2 suitcases, begging for a place to recover from surgery. I was 61, homeless, and dying from a heart disease. My own son, the boy I'd saved from a dumpster, raised with 3 jobs, sacrificed my entire life for, was telling me to figure it out myself. David, I might not survive on the streets, I whispered, tears streaming down my face. His response haunted me forever. If something happens to you, that's not on me. That's on the choices you made throughout your life. He slammed the door in my face. What David didn't know was that the homeless mother he just threw away like garbage was secretly worth $4.2 million. And I was about to make sure he learned that lesson in the most devastating way possible. If you think parents who give up everything for their children deserve better than being thrown away like garbage, smash that subscribe button, because David has no idea what's about to hit him. 28 years ago, I found 3-year-old David in foster care. He was so broken, so traumatized he couldn't even speak. His biological parents had tortured him so badly that doctors said he might never recover. He weighed 19 pounds when a healthy 3-year-old should weigh 35 pounds. When I knelt down to his level, this tiny broken boy just stared at me with hollow eyes that had seen things no child should ever see. His arms were covered in scars. His hair was falling out from malnutrition, and I knew I was going to save him or die trying. I was nobody. A single teacher making $28,000, living in a studio apartment where my bed touched the kitchen counter. Everyone told me I was crazy. Eleanor, you can't save that child. You can barely save yourself. But I did save him. I gave him everything. My youth, my health, my dreams, my money, everything. The adoption took 8 months and cost me everything I had saved. I emptied my bank account, sold my car, and took out loans I couldn't afford just to bring him home. That first night, David screamed for 6 hours straight, not crying, screaming. The kind of screams that come from a soul that's been shattered. I held him the entire time, whispering, "You're safe now. Mama's here. Nobody will ever hurt you again." It took 3 months before he said his first word. "Mama." And when he finally said it, I cried so hard I couldn't breathe. I worked 3 jobs just to keep us afloat. Monday through Friday, I taught 3rd grade. Every evening I tutored kids in my living room for $15 an hour. Weekends, I worked catering events, carrying heavy trays until my back screamed in pain. David got the bedroom. I slept on a pull-out couch in the living room for 15 years. 15 years. My back still hasn't recovered. I wore the same 5 outfits to work every single day for 3 years because every extra dollar went to David. But David? David wore Ralph Lauren, Nike, Tommy Hilfiger. I wanted him to fit in, to never feel different, to never feel less than anyone else. For dinner, I ate rice and beans. Just rice and beans, sometimes with a little hot sauce if I was feeling fancy. But David got steak, chicken, fresh vegetables, fruit. I told him I was on a special diet, so he wouldn't feel guilty about eating better food than me. You know what I gave up that hurt the most? Love. I never dated. Not once in 28 years. I had men interested in me, good men who would have treated me well. But David needed therapy, special attention, constant care. I couldn't split my focus. He was my world, my everything, my reason for existing. When he was 7, he started having nightmares about his biological parents. He'd wake up screaming that they were coming to get him, so I slept on the floor next to his bed for 2 years, holding his hand until he fell asleep, just so he'd feel safe. Every Christmas, I made sure he had everything on his list. Every birthday was a celebration. Every achievement was met with praise and rewards. I wanted him to know he was loved, valued, worthy of good things. But here's what nobody knew. While I was eating rice and beans and sleeping on that pull-out couch, I was secretly building a fortune. Every month, I lived on exactly $150. $150 for food, gas, clothes, everything. Most people spend more than that on coffee, but every other penny I earned went straight into investments. While David slept, I sat at my tiny kitchen table with library books spread everywhere, studying the stock market until 2 in the morning. The Intelligent Investor, A Random Walk Down Wall Street, Common Stocks and Uncommon Profits. I read them so many times the pages started falling out. My first investment was $50 in McDonald's stock when David was 4. $50 that should have bought groceries for 2 weeks. But I knew McDonald's wasn't going anywhere. Kids would always want Happy Meals. Every tax refund, every bonus from tutoring, every dollar I scraped together went into my secret portfolio. $300 one month, $800 the next, sometimes $1,500 if I worked extra catering gigs. Never consistent, but always something. By the time David was 10, I owned stock in Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon. I bought Apple at $12 a share. $12. That same stock is worth over $150 today. I bought Amazon at $43. Do you know what Amazon trades for now? But stocks weren't enough. I wanted real wealth, generational wealth. So I started buying real estate with my tax refunds. My first property was a tiny duplex in a rough neighborhood for $118,000. I used my entire tax refund as a down payment and fixed it up myself on weekends. I rented both sides for $600 each. $1,200 a month in rental income from a $118,000 investment. That's how you build wealth. Every rental property I bought, I'd live off the income from the previous ones. By the time David graduated college, my portfolio was worth $2.8 million. By the time he got married, it was $3.6 million. When I lost my teaching job, it had grown to $4.2 million. $4.2 million that David never knew existed. David never knew. I wanted him to learn the value of work, not become entitled. I planned to tell him about the money when he turned 35. I planned to give it all to him, since he was my only child. I imagined his face when I'd show him the bank statements. "Mama, you mean we were rich this whole time? Would you live like you're broke for decades to secretly build your child a multi-million-dollar inheritance? Drop a comment and tell me if I was wise or if I wasted my life." The first crack in my heart came when David got promoted to marketing director, making $150,000 a year. More money than I had ever dreamed of making. I was so proud of him. My broken little boy had become this confident, successful man. That's when he met Brittany. Brittany came from what they call old money. Her family owned hotels, country clubs, vacation homes in the Hamptons. She had never worked a day in her life, never worried about paying rent, never eaten rice and beans for dinner because that's all you could afford. The first time David brought her to my apartment, I watched her face as she took in my second-hand furniture, my tiny kitchen, my pull-out couch that had been my bed for 15 years. She didn't say anything, but her expression said everything. Disgust, pity, judgment. The changes in David started slowly. He stopped coming by every Sunday like he used to. When he did visit, he seemed distracted, checking his phone constantly. He started making excuses about why he couldn't stay for dinner. "Sorry, Mom, but Brittany's parents are expecting us at the country club." "I'd love to, but we have this work thing with important clients." David began lying about his background, calling himself self-made. He was ashamed of me. When I brought homemade birthday cake to his office party, he humiliated me in front of his colleagues. "Mom, please don't embarrass me with your homemade stuff. These people expect professional catering." The words hit me like a physical blow. I stood there holding the cake I'd spent hours making, the cake that represented 29 years of birthday celebrations, and my son was telling me it was embarrassing. I just thought, I started, but he cut me off. "Maybe next time you could call first. We could have lunch somewhere else, just the two of us." Just the two of us, hidden away from his real life, his important life, his life that didn't include his embarrassing mother. Brittany openly mocked my thrift store clothes and 15-year-old Honda, calling me David's charity case behind my back. I heard her tell her friends at a party that David was so generous for taking care of his unfortunate mother. Unfortunate. The woman who secretly had $4 million was being called unfortunate by a spoiled brat who had never earned a dollar in her life. At 61, my world collapsed in the span of 2 weeks. It started with a pink slip. After 33 years of teaching, the school district decided I was expendable. Budget cuts, they said. Nothing personal, they said. Just business. 3 days after losing my job, I collapsed in my apartment. I woke up in the emergency room with a doctor telling me I had diabetes, high blood pressure, and needed immediate heart surgery. Mrs. Thompson, the cardiologist, said, "Your heart is in serious trouble. The stress you've been under has taken a devastating toll on your body. We need to operate within the month, or you could have a massive heart attack." Stress. Decades of working 3 jobs, sleeping on pull-out couches, sacrificing everything for a son who now saw me as an embarrassment. My body had finally given up. The doctor handed me a list of medications I'd need to take for the rest of my life. $800 a month. $800 I didn't have, for medications that would keep me alive. I didn't plan on touching on my investments yet. Wanted it all to be for David. The medications cost $800 a month. I was dying, and I called David. "David," I said when he answered, my voice shaky, "I need to talk to you about something important." "Mom, I'm really busy right now. Brittany and I are looking at vacation homes in the Hamptons." "Vacation homes?" While I was trying not to die. "Sweetheart, I lost my job, and I'm sick, really sick. I need heart surgery, and I can't afford my medications. I was wondering if maybe you could help me, just temporarily until I get back on my feet." Silence. Long, cold silence. "How much are we talking about?" he finally asked. $800 a month for the medications, and maybe help with the surgery costs. I know it's a lot, but $800 a month? His voice was incredulous. "Mom, that's almost $10,000 a year. Almost $10,000. To the son making $150,000 annually. To keep his mother alive." That's when I heard Brittany's voice in the background. She wasn't trying to whisper. "Are you kidding me right now? Tell her no, David. We are not your mother's personal ATM. We have our own expenses." "Brittany, she's sick. She's always something, David. First it was job problems, now it's health problems. When does it end? We're trying to buy a vacation home. We don't have money to throw away on her poor life choices." Poor life choices. The woman who had worked herself into heart failure raising him had made poor life choices. David came back on the line, his voice cold and distant. "Mom, Brittany's right. We can't be responsible for your financial problems. You're 61 years old. You should have planned better instead of living paycheck to paycheck your whole life." Living paycheck to paycheck. If only he knew. "You need to take responsibility for your own poor financial choices," he continued. "Maybe this is a wake-up call to start making better decisions." $800 to keep his mother alive. He made $150,000 annually, but wouldn't spend $800 to save the woman who worked herself into heart failure raising him. Anyways, I paid, and the hospital scheduled me for surgery. 3 weeks later, I got evicted. My unemployment had run out, and I couldn't make rent. 61 years old, dying from heart disease, and I was about to be homeless. That's when I made the call that would haunt me forever. I called David, begging to recover from heart surgery in his guest room for a few weeks. I didn't want to be on my own during recovery. "David," I said, my voice breaking, "I need your help. I'm being evicted, and I have heart surgery scheduled for next week. I was wondering, could I please recuperate in your guest room, just for a few weeks, until I recover?" I could hear Brittany in the background immediately. "Is that your mother again?" "David, I swear to God." "Mom, hold on." David covered the phone, but I could still hear them arguing. "She's being evicted?" Brittany's voice was sharp with disgust. "What kind of 61-year-old gets evicted? That's pathetic." "She's sick, Brittany. She needs surgery." "I don't care if she needs a heart transplant. She's not staying in our house. We have important clients over regularly. They don't need to see some sick old woman shuffling around in a bathrobe. Some sick old woman. That's what I had become to them. Brittany grabbed the phone from David. Eleanor, let me be clear since David's too nice to say it. The answer is absolutely not. We worked hard for our lifestyle, and we're not going to let your problems drag us down. Figure something else out. She hung up on me. I called back immediately, my hands shaking. David answered on the first ring. Mom, please stop calling. David, I'm going to be homeless. I might not survive on the streets. I'm your mother. I saved your life. Please, I'm begging you. The silence stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. Finally, David spoke, and his words destroyed what was left of my soul. Mom, I'm 31 years old. I've carried your emotional baggage long enough. Time to be an adult and solve your own problems. Emotional baggage. 28 years of sacrifice, love, and devotion was emotional baggage. I'm not asking you to carry me, I whispered. I'm asking you to help me not die. You're not gonna die, Mom. You're being dramatic. There are shelters, government programs, resources for people in your situation. Use them. David, I raised you. I worked 3 jobs for you. I gave you everything. And I appreciate that, but that doesn't make me responsible for you for the rest of your life. I have my own family now, my own priorities. You need to accept that and move on. So that's it? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. You're just going to let me be homeless? I'm not letting you do anything, Mom. These are consequences of your own choices. You chose not to save money. You chose not to plan for retirement. You chose to live paycheck to paycheck. Now you have to live with those choices. My legs gave out. I sank to the floor of my empty apartment, phone pressed to my ear, listening to my son, the boy I'd saved from death, tell me that if I died, it would be my own fault. David, I said, tears streaming down my face, if you don't help me, I might not survive this. Is that what you want? Your mother dead? His response will haunt me forever. Mom, that's manipulative and unfair. You're trying to guilt me into something I can't afford to do. If something happens to you, that's not on me. That's on the choices you made throughout your life. The choices I made, like choosing to adopt him, like choosing to save his life, like choosing to sacrifice everything so he could succeed. I'm not trying to manipulate you, I sobbed. I'm trying not to die. Then figure it out like an adult. I'm not your safety net anymore. He hung up. I sat on the floor of my empty apartment, holding my phone, staring at the eviction notice, and realized something that chilled me to the bone. My son was willing to let me die rather than let me sleep in his guest room for a few weeks. That night, I packed my 2 suitcases and walked out of the apartment I had called home for 15 years. I was 61 years old, facing major heart surgery in a week. And I was alone. But I wasn't helpless. I had $4.2 million and a son who had no idea what was coming for him. If you believe David deserves everything that's coming to him, hit that subscribe button, because what happens next will shock you. That's when Maya found me collapsed outside a clinic. Maya Rodriguez was 23 years old, a nursing student working part-time at the clinic to pay for school. She had these kind brown eyes and gentle hands, and when she found me slumped against the building, barely conscious, she didn't ask questions. She just acted. Ma'am, are you okay? Oh my God, you're burning up with fever. I tried to speak, but all that came out was a whisper. I'm fine, just tired. She helped me inside, took my vital signs, and immediately knew something was seriously wrong. My surgical site was infected. My blood pressure was dangerously high. I was dehydrated and malnourished. You just had major surgery, she said, examining my chest. Where are you staying? Who's taking care of you? I looked away, ashamed. I am looking for a place to rent, but the most important thing is that I don't want to be alone. I would die if I'm all by myself. Maya's face changed completely. Not pity, something deeper. Understanding. You're coming home with me, she said simply. This 23-year-old nursing student took me home to her tiny studio apartment and treated me like a beloved family. She worked 2 jobs to support us both. The clinic during the day, waitressing at night, never complaining, always putting me first. She insisted I take her bed while she slept on the couch. She cooked me real meals, not just rice and beans, but nutritious soups, fresh vegetables, lean proteins that would help me heal. She managed my medications better than I had been managing them myself. When I was too weak to shower, she helped me without making me feel ashamed. When I couldn't sleep because of nightmares about David, she sat with me and listened to my stories for hours. "Tell me about when he was little," she'd say. "Tell me about the good times." After 2 weeks of this angel taking care of me, I couldn't stand it anymore. I secretly transferred $5,000 and tried to give it to Maya as rent money. "Eleanor, what is this?" She stared at the cash like it was on fire. "It's rent money. You're housing me, feeding me, taking care of me. I can't be a burden." Maya's eyes flashed with anger. "Don't you ever call yourself a burden again. Do you hear me? Eleanor, you're not a burden. You're the grandmother I never had." She sat down next to me, taking my hands in hers. "I lost my grandmother when I was 12. She raised me when my parents couldn't, just like you raised David. She was the only person who ever made me feel truly loved. When she died, I thought I'd never have that again. Then I found you outside that clinic, and something inside me just knew you needed me, but I needed you too. Having you here, listening to your stories, taking care of you, it's not a burden, it's a blessing." As I recovered, Maya called David weekly with updates. His responses grew increasingly cruel. "Your mother had complications. She's asking for you. Stop guilting me. She made her bed. Your mother is doing physical therapy now. She's getting stronger every day, but she still asks about you constantly. Stop calling me about her. I don't want updates. Your mother misses you. She shows me pictures of you as a little boy and tells me stories about how much she loved raising you. Those are guilt tactics. She's trying to manipulate you into manipulating me." When Maya called to tell him I'd had a setback, my diabetes had spiked and I'd been hospitalized for 3 days, David's response was vicious. "Why are you still calling me? I told you I don't care about her medical drama." "David, she was in intensive care. She kept asking if you were coming to see her." "Good. Maybe she'll finally get the message that I'm not coming." But the call that destroyed me completely came during my 4th week of recovery. I had been having nightmares about being abandoned, about dying alone, about David's cold voice telling me I was worthless. Maya, heartbroken by my pain, called David one more time. "David, your mother cries for you at night. She has nightmares where she's calling your name, begging you to come back. It's breaking my heart to watch." David's response was the cruelest thing I had ever heard him say. "Tell her to cry to someone who cares. I'm done being manipulated by her tears." Maya pulled the phone away from her ear like it had burned her. "Manipulated? Your mother isn't trying to manipulate anyone. She's grieving the loss of her son. My mother is a professional victim. She's probably putting on a show for you to get sympathy." "A show? David, she cries herself to sleep every night. She stares at pictures of you and wonders what she did wrong. This isn't a show. This is a woman whose heart is broken." Then maybe she should have thought about that before making a lifetime of bad decisions. Maya's voice turned ice cold. "What bad decisions? Working 3 jobs to raise you? Sacrificing everything so you could succeed? Loving you unconditionally? Look, lady, you don't know anything about my childhood or my mother. She's got you fooled, just like she fooled everyone else. The only person who's been fooled here is your mother," Maya snapped. "She fooled herself into thinking she raised a decent human being." David hung up on her. That's when I realized Maya deserved my fortune more than David ever would. She had shown me more love in 8 months than he had shown me in 8 years. Living with Maya for 8 months taught me something I had never truly understood before. This is what real love looks like. Maya worked 2 jobs to support us both. She'd leave at 6 in the morning for her shift at the clinic, come home just long enough to make sure I'd taken my medications and eaten lunch, then rush off to her evening job waiting tables at a diner. She never complained. When I offered to help with expenses, she'd wave me off. "Eleanor, you're recovering. Focus on getting better. Every morning, Maya would check on me before leaving for work. How are you feeling today, Eleanor? Any chest pain? Did you sleep well? Every evening, she'd come home exhausted but still ask about my day. What did you do today? Did you take your walk? Did you call the doctor about that appointment? On my birthday, my 62nd birthday, Maya planned a surprise party. Just the two of us, but she made it special. She baked a cake from scratch, bought balloons, even got me a present she couldn't afford. I know it's not much, she said, handing me a small wrapped box, but I wanted you to have something beautiful. Inside was a delicate silver necklace with a small pendant that read, "World's Best Grandma." You're the grandmother I never had, Eleanor. I wanted you to know that officially. David had never celebrated my birthday, not once in the past 5 years. That night, as I lay in bed wearing my new necklace, I made a decision that would change everything. Maya deserved my fortune. If you believe real family is chosen, not born, make sure you hit that subscribe button because my revenge is about to get nuclear. The day I changed Maya's life forever, I handed her a thick manila envelope. Inside was a deed to a beautiful 3-bedroom house and bank statements showing $4.2 million now in her name. Maya's hand started shaking. Eleanor, I don't understand. What are these? Those are your bank statements, darling. As of yesterday, you are worth $4.2 million. Maya dropped the papers like they were on fire. What? No. This is impossible. Darling, you loved me when my own son threw me away. This money means nothing without someone who values the person who earned it. You've been my daughter in every way that matters. Maya was sobbing now. You don't understand. I didn't do any of that for money. I did it because I love you. I know you did. That's exactly why you deserve it. Maya, you've shown me more love in 8 months than David showed me in 8 years. You've proven that family isn't about blood. It's about choice. You chose me when my own son threw me away. Maya threw her arms around me, crying and laughing at the same time. Eleanor, I love you so much. I love you too, sweetheart. You're the daughter I always prayed for. But I wasn't just giving Maya my money quietly. I was going to expose David's cruelty to the entire world. I wrote a devastating 23-page letter detailing every sacrifice, every moment of abandonment, every cruel word. The letter began simply. My name is Eleanor Thompson. I am 62 years old, and I have just given away $4.2 million to a 23-year-old stranger instead of my own son. This is why. I wrote about finding David broken and making him whole. About working 3 jobs, sleeping on couches, eating rice and beans while he got steak. About his transformation from grateful child to embarrassed adult. David, I found you broken and made you whole. I sacrificed my youth, health, and dreams to give you everything. When I was dying and homeless, you called me worthless. Maya, a stranger, showed me more love in 8 months than you did in 8 years. She deserves my fortune because she saw my worth when you couldn't. The ending was my masterpiece. To every child reading this who thinks success gives you the right to abandon the parents who sacrificed for you, you are wrong. To every parent reading this who has been thrown away by ungrateful children, you deserve better. The world should know. Successful children who abandon their struggling parents are the lowest form of human. Maya posted the letter online, and it exploded across social media with 15 million views. The destruction was swift and complete. Within 2 weeks, David's law firm fired him due to overwhelmingly negative publicity and client complaints. David's own clients had read my letter and demanded his removal from their cases. Brittany divorced him within a week, publicly calling him a heartless monster who threw away the woman who saved his life. She took half of everything: the house, the cars, the savings, the investments. His friends abandoned him just as quickly. The country club kicked him out. The professional association suspended him. The charity boards requested his immediate resignation. People started recognizing David in public. Videos went viral of people confronting him in grocery stores, coffee shops, restaurants. One video showed a young woman approaching David at a Starbucks. Excuse me, aren't you the guy who threw his mother out to die? Eleanor's son? Another showed an elderly man stopping David outside a shopping mall. Young man, I read about what you did to your mother. I want you to know that you are a disgrace to sons everywhere. Every public appearance became a confrontation. David couldn't go anywhere without someone recognizing him as Eleanor's ungrateful son. David couldn't find work anywhere. Every law firm he applied to had read my letter. He had to sell his remaining assets and move into a studio apartment, living exactly the way I used to live when I was sacrificing everything for him. 9 months later, David showed up at our door, broken and desperate. Through the window, I could see him. The man who used to wear $1,000 suits was standing on my porch in wrinkled khakis and a faded polo shirt. He looked thin, desperate, broken. "Mom," he said, his voice cracking. "Please, I need to talk to you." "You can talk from there." He looked past me at our house, the marble foyers, the crystal chandelier, the artwork Maya had bought with money that should have been his inheritance. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I made terrible mistakes. I know I hurt you, and I know I was wrong." I waited. I wanted to hear all of it. "I lost everything. My job, my wife, my house, my friends. I can't get work anywhere. People recognize me from that letter, and they won't hire me. I'm living in a studio apartment, eating ramen noodles, working odd jobs just to pay rent." Ramen noodles. The irony was beautiful. "I've learned my lesson, Mom. I understand now what I put you through. Please, I need help. I need a loan, just enough to get back on my feet." A loan. He still didn't understand. "David," I said, looking at this stranger who shared my DNA, "you taught me something valuable. You taught me that blood doesn't make family. Love does, choice does, respect does." The hope started to fade from his eyes. "Maya is my real daughter now. She chose me when you threw me away. She valued me when you called me worthless. She loved me when you abandoned me." David's face crumpled. "But Mom, I'm your son. I'm your blood." "No, David, you were my son. You stopped being my son the day you told me to solve my own problems while I was dying on the streets." "Please, Mom. Don't call me Mom. Mothers are women who raise children who love them back. Maya's mother died when she was young, but she treats me like I'm precious. You had a mother who sacrificed everything for you, and you treated her like garbage. You're not my son anymore, David. You're a stranger who shares my DNA, and I don't give money to strangers who have treated me cruelly. But the money, I know you have millions. I had millions. Maya has millions now. She earned every penny through kindness, love, and seeing value in an old woman everyone else discarded." David started crying, actually crying, right there on my porch. "Mom, please, I'm broke. I'm alone. I have nothing. Now you know how I felt when you threw me out. So that's it? You're just gonna let me destroy myself? You already destroyed yourself, David. You destroyed yourself the day you chose your image over your mother's life." Maya appeared behind me, slipping her arm around my waist in support. "Maya," David said desperately, "please, talk to her. Make her understand." Maya's voice was ice cold. "I understand perfectly, David. I understand that Eleanor gave you everything and you gave her nothing in return." I looked at David one last time, this stranger who had once been my whole world. "David, you taught me that I deserve better than being someone's last resort. Maya taught me that I deserve to be someone's first choice. Goodbye, David." I closed the door in his face. If you believe in karma and consequences, make sure you're subscribed because the ending will amaze you. 2 years later, my life looks nothing like I ever imagined it would. Maya and I are sitting on the deck of our lake house in Montana, watching the sunrise over the water. We're planning our next trip, 3 weeks in Italy, something I never dreamed I'd be able to afford. This is my life now. Travel, adventure, purpose, and unconditional love from a daughter who chose me. Maya finished nursing school with honors and is now running the Eleanor Foundation full-time. We've expanded to 12 locations across the country, helping over 3,000 abandoned elderly people reconnect with resources, support, and sometimes even reconciliation with their families. Every week, Maya and I volunteer at the local foundation office. Yesterday, we helped an 80-year-old woman named Grace, whose daughter had cut off contact after Grace couldn't afford to help with her grandchildren's private school tuition. "I feel so worthless," Grace told us, crying. "I raised her by myself, worked 2 jobs, and now she acts like I never existed." Maya took her hands. "Grace, you're not worthless. Your daughter's inability to see your value doesn't diminish it. Eleanor and I are proof that sometimes the family that chooses you loves you better than the family you're born with." The most satisfying part isn't the money or the travel or even the foundation's success. It's the love. Maya and I have the relationship I always dreamed of having with David. We cook together, laugh together, support each other's dreams. Last month, when I had a minor health scare, Maya canceled her vacation to stay with me at the hospital. "Eleanor, there's nowhere else I'd rather be," she said, holding my hand. "You're my family." Meanwhile, David's life has become exactly what mine used to be, a daily struggle for survival. Through mutual acquaintances, I hear updates. He's working minimum wage jobs under a different name. He lives in a studio apartment smaller than the one I lived in when I first adopted him. He's finally learning what it means to count every dollar, to choose between groceries and utilities, to wear the same clothes day after day. He's experiencing the life I lived for 28 years while building his inheritance. The irony is perfect. I'm living the life he used to live, comfortable, secure, surrounded by love, while he's living the life I used to live, desperate, alone, struggling to survive. But here's the difference. I chose my struggle out of love for him. He earned his struggle through cruelty toward me. 3 months ago, Maya saw David working as a grocery store cashier, using the name Dave instead of David. He was thin, graying, and looked 20 years older than his 33 years. "How is she?" he asked Maya, crying. "Eleanor is thriving. She's healthy, happy, and surrounded by people who love her. Is there any chance she'd ever forgive me?" Maya looked at this man who had called me worthless and said, "Some mistakes are too big to fix." When Maya told me about the encounter, I felt nothing. Just emptiness where love used to be. The Eleanor Foundation now has a waiting list of people wanting to volunteer. We've created a program called Chosen Family that pairs lonely seniors with caring young adults who read our story and want to help. Last month, we celebrated our 100th successful pairing. A 90-year-old woman named Dorothy, whose daughter moved to another country and never calls, was matched with a 25-year-old teacher named Sarah, who lost her grandmother to COVID. "Dorothy taught me how to knit," Sarah told us at the celebration. "And I taught her how to use FaceTime so she can see my kids. We talk every day. She's become the grandmother my children never had." Dorothy was beaming. "Sarah calls me Grandma Dot. Her children made me Mother's Day cards. I haven't felt this loved in years." This is what Maya and I have created with the money that should have been David's. Not just financial support for abandoned parents, but actual families built on choice, respect, and genuine love. Maya recently told me something that made my heart swell with pride. "Eleanor, I used to think I was unlucky because I lost my parents so young and never had a real family. Now I realize I was incredibly lucky. I got to choose my family instead of just accepting what I was born with. And I chose perfectly." She was right. We both chose perfectly. The ultimate irony is that David's abandonment of me created something beautiful. His cruelty sparked a movement that has helped thousands of people find the love and respect they deserve. His worst act became the catalyst for countless acts of kindness. David taught me that blood doesn't guarantee love, loyalty, or basic human decency. Maya taught me that sometimes a stranger can become the most important person in your world, simply by choosing to see your value. I spent 61 years of my life putting other people first. First David, then my students, then anyone who needed help. For the first time in my life, I'm putting myself first by surrounding myself with people who put me first too. That's not selfish. That's finally understanding what I deserve. The $4.2 million bought Maya financial security, but it bought me something far more valuable: the knowledge that I am worth loving, worth choosing, worth fighting for. David lost more than money when he threw me away. He lost the chance to be loved unconditionally by someone who would have given him everything. He lost the opportunity to be part of something beautiful, something meaningful, something lasting. But Maya and I didn't lose anything. We gained everything. We gained each other. We gained purpose. We gained the absolute certainty that we chose correctly. Sometimes the family you choose loves you better than the family you're born with. Sometimes the daughter you find is worth more than the son you raised. Sometimes the greatest inheritance you can leave isn't money. It's proof that love, when it's real, never fails to find its way to the people who deserve it most. And Maya deserved it most of all. I spent 28 years raising a son who never saw my worth. Now I'm spending my golden years with a daughter who treasures it. That's a lesson worth $4.2 million, and David's paying for it every single day. The money was never the real inheritance. The real inheritance was learning that I was valuable enough to be chosen, loved, and treasured. Maya gave me that gift, and now I'm giving that same gift to thousands of other forgotten parents. That's what real family looks like. Not blood, but choice. Not obligation, but love. Not taking, but treasuring. And I've never been happier. Would you have done the same thing to David? Because I want to know, was I wrong to destroy my son's life? Or was I finally right? If you enjoyed this story, like, subscribe, and share with others so they can learn too. See you in our next video.